also to get everyone kind of like into the chat if needs be, considering this is very much a broadcast out of the blue. We usually go out on a Sunday or a Wednesday. However, something a little bit special for you today. Also, a couple of updates as well. Number one, I want to say thank you, as always, to our fantastic Patreon supporters. We've got the names scrolling up on the screen as we speak. We want to thank them for all of their support as we move forward. These are people that allow us to have the lights on and keep doing what we do. So thank you so much indeed to Andrea, to Chuck, to Andrew, to Martin, to Dan, to Michael, to all of you, for everyone for your support. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you so much indeed. Also, we've got a couple of updates as well. As soon as those names stop rolling by, I will very quickly bring up a list of names, considering that we were supposed to have a couple of episodes coming up with some really great guests coming onto the show, except slight issue. Unfortunately, a couple of them have had to postpone because we have discovered that Dirk Wood and Scott Dumbier have decided to look at their diary and realize that, oh dear, it's Mother's Day on Sunday and they can't come on the show because they've realized that they upset their mothers and they upset their wives. They're not going to be married much longer. So they've decided that what they're going to do is we're going to postpone that. It says they're rescheduled as an incidental episode. It looks like we may be doing this on Tuesday. Same time as usual, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. But we'll be talking to Dirk Wood and Scott Dumbier on Tuesday, which means this Sunday it's going to be a little bit of a loose episode. We may have a special guest. We may have someone a little bit last minute. We'll let you know. But basically, do join us on Sunday, and yeah, we'll see what we get organized. Bill Sienkiewicz is still scheduled for Wednesday. Fingers crossed on that one. That's looking good. Alyssa Franks has confirmed that she will be joining us for our San Diego Comic-Con special. That's on Sunday, the 17th of May. And then we've got Donny Cates and Megan Hutchinson joining us on Wednesday, the 20th. David Irwin, who's the publisher and CCO of Heavy Metal magazine, is going to be joining us about a new imprint, which is coming to Heavy Metal. Very exciting stuff which they're bringing to that particular publication. And that's on the 24th of May. Ross Burlingame from comicbook.com is going to be joining us on the 27th. And then Robin Jones, who is an independent and he's a very great cartoonist here in the UK. He's going to be joining us on Sunday, the 31st of May. That's our lineup. We may be adding names to it, but for now, that's where we're at. But I just wanted to let you know about Sunday the 10th. That's this weekend's show. It's not going to be Dirk and it's not going to be Scott. That's going to be possibly midweek, probably the Tuesday. We're ironing out those details, but we're going to get that sorted out and get those information to you as soon as we possibly can. And that's where we are with that. However, yes, bonus episodes. We've got ourselves, Dan Berry has joined us. Hey, Lenny, thanks for this episode. Aaron Neighbors, Olaf from San Diego, and indeed Into the Blue Mr. Huzzah for bonus content. And indeed, Toby's joining us as well. Morning all. Everyone's jumping in with their comments. Thank you very much indeed. And I'm certain you may have some questions for our special guest today. This is exciting stuff because this weekend is, and you've been hearing over the course of the last month, couple of months, over the course of this particular pandemic, the issues that have been raised by all of this, that people have been trying their best to come to terms with the new reality and a way of bringing content to fans, especially those that wanted to go to conventions throughout the summer, and that's just not happening for 2020. People have been trying to find a solution, and we think we found someone who has found himself a possible answer to all of this. It's time to introduce Jonathan Tavs to the show. Hello there, Jonathan. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Not too shabby at all. I want you to introduce yourself, and then I want you to talk to us about Virtual Pop Expo, which is happening this weekend. This is exciting stuff. Who are you, sir?
Who am I?
And what is this thing that you've got planned?
So I'm Jonathan Tavs. In my day job, I'm a futurist and looking at the future of society. How are we going to move into that future, utilizing technology, utilizing just how we're growing as community? And we're actually based in London, our company.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In Islington. In honor of this, there's no beer in it, but I've got my London Pride, Fuller's London Pride glass. But we've done a lot of work over a lot of years working with community. I come out of the entertainment industry and have been looking at as things have shifted, especially with social and with franchise and IP and the ownership that the fan base takes, we've always been looking at how do we bring that together, and that it's not just a studio unless you're Disney. You know, Fox, who I worked with for years, wasn't able to do, they're not able to draw that connection with their properties the same way as a Disney can. So it really was, how do you take the individual IP and make those connections? So we've been working with those IPs for years at cons around the world to create that bridge. And when all of this started happening, with things closing down, with different cons saying, yeah, we don't know what's happening, we started, I've got, you know, when you say he came up with this, I would not be sitting here right now if it was just me. I would have keeled over. We've got a fantastic team of people that just, there wasn't any money at the end of the tunnel. It was just, this needs to happen to bring a community, to help a community together. And so what we did was we started a conversation with others that we were about to do a bunch of work with at WonderCon. So when WonderCon and Anaheim said we're canceling, that was when we started the conversation. On March 18th, we talked with our partners and said, are we in? What does this look like? And the person that's really taken the lead is our director of Kaleido, my company, and she's our community engineer. She really has taken that as we move community forward, especially around fan bases. And it was a matter of me with this futurist hat on, and the fact that we just had something published a few months ago called Virtually There or There Virtually, because everybody thinks about, oh, virtual reality is when you've got all this equipment and the goggles on and all of that, and it has to be real and lifelike. Our posit is we've been living in a virtual realm for quite some time, whether we were using Zoom before or we were using that crazy old thing like Google Hangouts or whatever it was. We were already doing things. Hell, even if somebody posts a video on Twitter, you might not have ever been to that country, but you heard the birds chirping, and there was that visceral connection that made you feel like you knew what was going on, that you were almost there, right? The virtually there. So I said, this is going to be a lot of work, and the only reason to do this is if we can create something that is as close to being there as possible. And that meant if we were doing this because we recognized that there were a whole bunch of vendors that were sitting on a whole bunch of inventory with absolutely no way to get those to the passionate fan base that would purchase because they don't have the cons to do it in, how can we provide that opportunity? And certainly, even here in the US, where it was state by state closing down, there was a thought that there might be some states that stay open and there's a con, but if the fans that were so reliant on that community as fulfillment, right? So fulfillment,
sure.
It wouldn't be healthy for them to go across state lines to get to those, or go, hell, even going across the city for some people isn't healthy. So that's why we said, what do we do here so that we can really create a virtual con that has that visceral experience? It's not just about putting out like streaming content, because there are others that have done tremendous jobs of streaming content, much as yourself. You've got a great product of streaming content, bringing people together. It was, how do we meld that social aspect, that community aspect, and also really make it so we're not just linking off to vendor sites, from a list.
I think that's been the problem so far. I mean, people have been saying the words virtual con, and it seems like a half measure. It seems like there is a virtual con, an actual attempt to make that connection via a laptop screen, via a iPhone or a mobile device, to actually connect to the other side of that screen. And all we have been seeing is this one-way kind of communication. So yeah, we've had WonderCon with their
secret sauce.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So there was a company that we've been working with. They've been in stealth mode. The name is Auxxit, AUXXIT. What they are is a peer-to-peer marketplace that is really a space for community that's enveloped in commerce. So their original model is build these rooms that people could come in and have chat. Think WhatsApp. You have your friends, they invite you into this room, you have real-time communication. But in that case, you have to know who the other people are. You have to be invited. So it really is closed community. So it's the discovery of any of these rooms to get into the passionate things you want to talk about really hard. Exit provides the space for these rooms to exist, where they would have moderators and they would have influencers that would bring people. So whether it was a Star Wars room, it could even be an individual, empire or rebellion, whatever you want to call it. And they had been in stealth mode with vinyl community and fly fishing, passionate there and doing a lot of sales with that. But again, it was about the community first. It wasn't about how do we sell you something. And to explain that commerce part, or how is the thing sold, if we're in a room and you and I are talking about Star Wars, and you were to say, Jonathan, the one thing, I've got like such an amazing collection of scale models and all that, but I've been looking for the Y-wing fighter that was done blah, 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 this year, blah. And I could say, hey, that's when I was working with Fox. I just happen to have one. How about if I put that up there and you can buy it? I'll sell it to you for this. So we have that agreement. But then once I put it into the system, somebody else could come in and say, well, actually, Jonathan, I'll pay you $100 more for that than Lawrence was. And so then it all of a sudden becomes a bidding war, right?
Yeah.
It's all in real time, and it's all based on, just the community asking for this stuff. And certainly people that have product that really reach that audience could, they could fill up the stock of different items. And the fly fishing instance, there is a company that does lures, and usually they do, they might make 100 and then sell that box of 100 to one fishing store. And so you have to go to that store to find it. In this case, they tried something where it was, we're going to group these things in just threes. So you can buy in three lures, and they're beautiful lures if you're into fly fishing. Even if you're not, they're still beautiful, but whatever. What they found was they sold out of their entire inventory in about 1 minute and 12 seconds.
Okay.
Because of the pent-up demand in that community. And they were all right there. They were waiting for that button to go. And so with that knowledge and we were working with them as Kaleido of how do they set themselves up as a company to then reach the mainstream and go full on. As soon as we had this conversation on March 18th, I'm thinking, wait a second, here's our key. If we use the Exit platform, it's not exactly the model that they had, because what we want to do is we want to as closely resemble that feeling of going booth to booth on an exhibition floor, and granted, we're not going to have that you have to bump into any character as you're trying to get through the hallways. But if we can make it so that instead of a booth being based on a passion, it's based on a vendor, which is a little bit of a change, then it is a matter that you go into a booth, you can start a conversation directly with the purveyor of that booth. You can also talk in real time to other people that are in that booth room.
Well, one of the things that I spotted on the press release that you sent out, which was really appealing, not only what you were saying there about people interacting as part of the crowd, but also the vendors themselves could kind of cross-pollinate. Because one thing that you do here when you talk to people that go to conventions to exhibit, that they usually find that the only time that they get the chance to interact with each other is when they get to that one chance they step away from their table, as it said. And when I read it in the press release, I thought that's a virtual way of implementing that. And there is this real kind of real-time communication, which I thought was really interesting to hear. When you say about the platform was already in place, then the technology was already in place, how quickly did it take you to ramp up to produce this particular expo then? How long did it take to kind of get everything in place for this?
I think that I made the call to Vince Arena, who's the CEO of Exit, on the 19th of March. And I said, here's what I'm thinking. There's still some T's to be crossed and I's to be dotted. And I said, there's this shift from community room to vendor room. But also I said, why can't, on the call on the 18th, I said, wait a second. When you go to a con, you also have the happy hours. So it's that opportunity for everybody to come together. And why not have happy hours utilizing the Exit platform? And so that was one thing that they hadn't been doing. So there were a number of things that we were asking of them to make it work for an exhibition style that they weren't built for before. So I would say in earnest, they started the last week of April, and they have done a phenomenal job of getting things to where they are now, so that, and believe me, in success, there's so much further we can go, but just the fact that, yes, in booths, they can drop items at a specific time. So a vendor can go out to their fan base, on their social, say, hey, be sure to be in our booth at 11 a.m. on Saturday. We're dropping our limited edition blank, or we've got, there's a couple of vendors that have really tight relationships with celebrities that are not part of our panels, because we do have a full schedule of great talent. You talk just the things that you've got coming up on your schedule. We have a couple of those things too. So I don't want to take fans away from the show, but if they wanted to come, there's like the Dark Horse stuff and et cetera, et cetera. So we've got all of that great content. We've got over 20 hours of original content with cast members from Star Wars, both the live action and the animated television. We've got a really cool Wizarding World panel that came together for Sunday morning. It's all over the place. I particularly am really excited about one panel. I know it's going off topic, but it's sort of not. So the panel that I'm leading on Sunday afternoon, LA time, it's called Which Page to Turn. And if we're in this whole new realm now where all bets are off, we have hit the reset button, all the expectations that we had prior are sort of out the window. We don't know what's coming next. So I've got an amazing panel of practitioners that whether it's Bernard Chang, who has started his career with Disney Imagineering as a blue sky concept artist that has now become a big comic book inker, drawer, working on. He's the one that originated Batman Beyond, or another X-Files or X-Men product that we're waiting for Marvel to release, or others that, one who was the first to translate anime into English, all these things. It's taking stuff that was there. And the whole idea of this panel is, if we're able to press reset, and if comic books, if pop culture is all about metaphor, what can we learn from that work to then set the metaphor for what we as society can be moving forward? Which I don't think any Comic-Con has ever tackled something like that before.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds fascinating. It almost sounds also a little bit meta, that you're almost commenting on this situation that you've got set up live in front of you. I think that's really. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of those kind of panels, which kind of comment on themselves and comment on the way that yeah. I think that's really cool. I think that's very, very cool. Well, a question that has come in, which I think is interesting, is also something that kind of bounced off what you briefly said, which is about people coming in and experiencing this and taking part, and as you said, entering the whole scenario. I've been seeing so many different ways and so many different platforms trying to work out a way of doing this so it's very accessible, and also in some regards actually make some kind of money. So there's all that kind of the business aspect of the whole thing. But the questions come in from Into the Blue Mister, and it's a good one. I think one of the big issues for a virtual con, that's replacing an actual con, is where people have bought tickets for the actual con and then are asked to pay more for the virtual content. I think for myself, it's also just that kind of gatekeeping. I understand that businesses have to make money, but then it's a case of actually getting people through the door in this new reality. So what is happening with virtual fan expo, when it comes to how you can take part and how much it costs, as it were?
So with Virtual Pop Expo, you can find out all the information at www.virtualpopexpo.com. Of course, I have to do that plug, but the beauty is it's absolutely free. It is free to enter. You can find out all the information at our hub. We'll call it a hub because there are places that we send you off, but we also bring in. So everything, you can access everything through the hub. For the vendors, in a lot of cases, vendors paid. We've got some vendors that had paid $10,000 for an SDCC con or booth that we're not charging anything. and the only thing that they're paying ultimately is Exit usually takes a 10% transaction fee, and then there's a credit card processing fee. They have their transaction fee, so it's 5%. So this is all about, again, putting the money into the vendor's hands. We went into this. We are getting some money from sponsors. You know, the entire landscape of sponsorship changed when the pandemic came across, and that we know is an industry by industry, because I've got friends that have done expos, just the content pushing in the music industry, and that has their sponsorship didn't dry up at all. We didn't go into this. We went into this as a proof of concept. This is one of those things. You know how you have this idea of like, what if, but you find that there's so many things in the world that are pushing you away from the what if. I really looked at this as an opportunity where we were saying, what if we could do these cons virtual? Imagine how many people can access this content that wouldn't have been able to access it before. And nowhere is that truer with our exhibition hall, with all the vendors, where even if you were to be at all the biggest cons in the world, you're still going to find vendors that you would never seen before.
Sure.
And that's really cool. And so what transpired is we said, let's do this. What else do we have going on? Like, I've got other client stuff that's going on with my company, but a lot of stuff also was put on hold as soon as things started closing down. So we had the time. You mentioned about the show that you had scheduled for Sunday night with the IDW folks. I think it was Mark and Scott. You said, I guess I'm taking one for the team because I'm working on Sunday, and who knows what my wife will do with that. But I think like she's been phenomenal. I don't think she's been phenomenal. She has been phenomenal. And the fact that she's put up with me and all this as we've got the kids at home all the time, you know, it really was all these things coming together. So with that business model thing, we have had existing cons reach out to us with how do we make their stuff virtual. To that original question, personally, which has no real effect on the cost of rice in China, I feel like if you already bought the ticket, that should be enough to get you access to the virtual aspect. I don't understand the, oh, well, now you have to pay again. And quite honestly, there's a lot of ways that we can give back as society. Again, that whole thing of just even asking for money. I'm not saying let's all do this for free, but there are so many things that we can be giving back because of this new world that we live in. I think that whole thing of asking money for all these little pieces, you know, I don't want to go off on a rant like that, but look, I have seen, because we've been keeping tabs on all these other virtual cons that are happening, there is really great product out there in terms of putting out content. And I will say this, for all these cons, even when they were existing, there was always video from whether it's Hall H or any of these halls, where our visceral experience, if we're watching it online, is that we're still out of the room. The fact now that everybody is watching it like Zoom boxes, we're used to this. We're now it's much more immediate. There's no difference watching you and I on this than if we were with our family on a Zoom call, as opposed to us being at the front of the hall, having an audience in front of the camera, and you know, it's that much more immediate. I've seen some really great experiences where entities are selling access to have intimate meetups with celebrities, and then out of that, maybe you get an autograph. There were all of these things that we were evaluating as to, do we include that in this experience? And really, it came down to, what resources did we have in order to pull this off, because of the fact that it is on a volunteer basis. It is really a matter of the key partners coming together and putting on a show. It really was that oh, there, look at me.
Just there you are.
So, you know, I'm very proud as we're on the eve, or we're going into our preview night tonight, looking back at what we have achieved, even before we start rolling camera, right? The talent that we've brought together, the vendors, the wide array of vendors from multiple nations that are participating, and came in. They didn't know Auxit from a hole in the wall. We weren't an existing con that was now saying we're going to go virtual. So it was a lot of people putting faith in us based on our relationships and that alone. And my hope is that everybody that comes gets a lot out of it, gets to not think about the stuff, like the bad stuff that's brought up in a lot of places, but think about the things that they love, and just having an open mind. Like this is not the end all be all of virtual cons. I will tell you that. I'm very excited about what we're offering because of that whole connectedness and the fact that, yes, you do need multiple devices because you need to use your phone to get to Auxit, right? But in Auxit, you can have the stream live up on top of your screen. I mean, I could bring it up here. It's just that simple. But the fact that it's all integrated, the fact that it's all accessible, it doesn't matter what your socioeconomic, whatever, it's all there. So, it's just, so here, like, here's
go for it.
Here's the Auxit app. Let me try to get it. So it's the virtual Pop Expo lobby. You'll get that link directly into that. That'll give you access to everything. And then up here, you could have the live stream. Right now, it's just the sort of like the countdown. It's just the countdown video. But, so you can watch that in here, but also you can hide that. And then you can go through, like this is for the happy hour tonight. And you see all the vendors. And
well, I'm guessing tonight is also a case for the vendors and all the guests as well to get their head around the platform and
absolutely
how to get the most out of it. Has there been much of a ability for them to jump in and kind of get set up their table, as it were?
Yes. So we wish that we could have had more time, but there was a lot of technology that went into this. And so they really just got access the other day. I've never done like this, so this is sort of fun. As you go through, you've got images, and then you can purchase. And once you've purchased one thing, then everything after that is just a one-button press.
Wow.
Hold on a second. Let me just close this off. But they have been able to play around, and that you see look. You see the wide array of the people that we have involved. There are some people that have come in and they have utilized the feature set like it was meant to be.
Yeah.
And, hell, we deal with this all the time with Microsoft Word. How many people use all of the features that are available to them in Microsoft Word? It's the same thing here with this technology. And so there are some vendors that have hundreds of products, and there are some that have, so there you see that there's the QR code that you could use, or you just click on, or you could just click on that to see what the URL is to go there, and it's all very smooth. That's a video that talks about so you can check that to see.
I came to this page. I was hoping that we were going to see some of the names of the vendors.
That will go. We've got to push later today.
Right. Okay.
But even this, we've got this amazing site that's built out by a vendor that I've used for years, Addison Interactive. We said, look, we've got this. There's no money, but it's for a really good cause. It's, there's something really cool, special. And they built this, and, it's probably around $30,000 worth all in. It'll probably be around $30,000 worth of work that they did. And that's indicative of everything that we're seeing across the board.
Cool. A couple of comments and questions coming in. Thank you very much indeed to everyone who's jumping in. I mean, we're on a number of platforms, so we're going to jump across a couple of them for questions and comments. Jenny Stiven has got a question. What vendor is a fave that you've seen set up so far? She's very excited to see everyone. Is there anyone that's kind of caught your eye out of the vendors so far?
So I hate to play
without upsetting the rest of them.
It's funny. Full disclosure, I'm happy that Jenny's on this, because I don't know how she knew that I was doing this, but Jenny is the Jenny Stiven that I was talking about before. That is my partner in Kaleido, that has been the ringleader of this.
Right. Okay.
So
hello there, Jenny.
So I didn't know, I would say that it was a plant if I had told her, if I had had a moment to tell her, Jenny, quite honestly, you should be doing other things. There's a bunch of stuff on your plate. But because I just have this in hand, there was a vendor that came in, and I, of course, was looking at every single vendor of their website and just falling in love with stuff. There was one vendor that does soaps, and originally I would think soaps, like that's not my thing, but everything was themed soap. So there's a block of soap that has the design of the carpeting from The Shining. I have to have that. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't care about soap, but I have to have that. And then there's another one that is also that's also totally being where you are. It's my doctor's doctor mask.
Oh wow! Okay, let me just pull this up full screen so everyone can see this. I think I know the artist that did that as well. I think I know the artist. Yeah, I think I know the artist that did the graphic design for that.
That's cool. So so they've got a booth there too. But there's a lot of great stuff that, it really is. Even if you were to just come and explore the Oxid app, it's going to be open all the time. We've asked the vendors to staff it during our regular hours, which are all Pacific time. They'll be staffing tonight from 6 till 9 Pacific, which is probably too late for you guys.
Listen, because at this point during summertime, I'm usually updating stuff for San Diego Comic-Con or any kind of American con updates. So I'm usually on American time anyway. Okay. So no, I may be awake and checking it out.
So 6 to 9 tonight, and then during all of our regular content, 10 to 6 is our regular broadcast tomorrow. And then 6 to 8 is our happy hour. So we've asked all the vendors to be staffing the booths during that time. You can still go into the booth. You can ask questions and they'll respond within the app as soon as they wake up or whatever. And then on Sunday, the programming is from 10 to 5. And then for the regular program, we then go into a celebrity D&D game. That's all for a really good cause.
That was the first thing that kind of caught everyone's attention. I know that was part of the original first press release that went out about the event, and this is this is something Joe Magniello running, and also you've got you've got Leonard and Jesse Motlin, who I'm huge fans of. But no, to have Joe doing his D&D thing,
unfortunately, so cool. Yeah, it's. As you know, with scheduling, it's a whole, like, everything is just really wonky with some people that are in all the way and then something comes up, whether it's a family issue, which God bless, family first, safety, all that. And then some people that come in really late. And we actually, in that first release, we announced we announced that we were going a week ago. But what happened was 2.5 weeks, or just shy of it's actually 3 weeks ago today, CCI announced that SDCC was canceled.
Yeah.
And immediately we had an influx of all of these vendors and people that already were booked on Hall H coming and saying, can we get on with you guys? And that was one of the reasons why we made the decision to push back a week, because there was so much change. And with pushing back a week, then we did have that we were going to have some talk on Sunday, and there was an issue because it's Mother's Day. And so that had to change. So we're really excited with the talent that we do have, but what it also does show that in success, if we repeat this, they're all part of the family, and we'll be able to get them the next time around. And so to the point, our vision of what could be is much greater than what we are delivering. It's just really a matter of time, of like the resources that are available. And so I do see us having multiple channels of content in the evening, having, just like the gaming rooms, if we were to have Twitch handling some of those gaming rooms and getting some of those big influencers that already have a good subscription base, and then introducing new gameplay, hell, the fact that we're doing these after hours programming with the hashtag show, that was purely because we were so overflowing with people wanting to do stuff with us. And so our concept for that was, we've got our prime time product.
I'm trying to install the app myself, so
Okay.
that's why I'm looking down. I am listening.
No,
my
it's all good.
attention is with you. Trust me.
So and just know that there's an update that's going right before I open at 6.
Of course.
But with that after hours thought that I had was, you know what, we've got so much great talent. What if we were to do even a lo-fi? I was thinking, you know, we've done things where we've utilized Zoom and then pushed out to Facebook Live. Let's just do that. Like just to, and look at the talent that's on this that sometimes people don't know, but they've got amazing stories. And so how cool would that be if we had our after hours people that, if you think back to in the States with David Letterman, when he started the late show with David Letterman, it was a lot of talent that a lot of people didn't know. And then sure enough, they got famous after and then started moving earlier in the day to Tonight Show with Johnny Carson or Jay Leno. And then they're in our prime time, right? So I looked at that as a great opportunity for the community to meet a bunch of people, the talent that they would have no access to otherwise. And it ended up that it's not lo-fi because hashtag Coach Show came in and said, oh, no, we'll produce, like we'll do the full thing for you. And that's how that after hours. So everything has been extremely organic, and it's ebbed and flowed based on just this crazy, wacky world that we're living in right now.
I mean, the names that I'm seeing on I mean, we've got the guest vendors up at the moment, and there's some names here which are very much people that are well known for embracing new platforms, new ways of interacting with their fans. David Dashimalian, of course, and yes. You've got Greg Gumberg, who's also been very strong and a great advocate for new ways to interact with fans. When did the final kind of guest list get nailed down? How much up to the wire did you put?
What time is it now?
It is, well, it's 7:30 here in the UK, so about 11:30 your time.
I would say 5:30.
Fair enough.
Look, Greg is awesome. I mean, he's been doing this stuff. He's been making the rounds on this, and that's all part of him wanting to give back to the community. So the talent that we have here is a lot of people that want to give back to the community. Dan was one of the first. That's Dan Fogler, who's right above Greg's image, was one of the first that raised his hand and said, "I'm in." And that was because of him talking. He's got a good relationship with our partner Bernie Bregman of Exlevelant. That you know, it was a no-brainer. Fortunately or unfortunately for him, he's stuck in London because he can't get back to the States. He was there working on the next Fantastic Beasts product, but he also has a book that is coming out that they're going to be talking about announcing. But you know, between our relationships with Kaleido, the relationships that Bernie and Exlevelant have, and then Legion M, that is also one of our producing partners, it was all of, okay, who can we reach out to? Who can we bring in? You know, you're showing here the Flux capacitors. They've risen to fame by doing a bunch of con experiences as a band. They're just a lot of fun as a band. So they actually have produced a bunch of content of themselves that we're going to be interspersing. Because as you can imagine, with so many guests and like going in and out of panels, there's opportunity to talk about, like, to show that type of content and have fun with it. And then we also have interstitial elements about the charities that we're supporting. Right. And from the get-go, we felt, again, it's all about giving back. And so we highlighted some organizations. You can go to, if you go to the main page, you go down to the bottom, but just very quickly, it was all about, we wanted to make sure that there was an organization that was helping our medical staff. And we were looking at for it to be on a global basis, not just for the US. And so, yeah, if you scroll down even further, it has descriptions and a place that you can actually donate. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
Even though Feeding America says Feeding America, they do work globally. So that was about bringing food to those who can't otherwise get it. Direct Relief is about the supplies for the medical community. Treehouse is a really cool one there. That's what our focus is on the Sunday night when we've got the live Dungeons and Dragons celebrity game where a couple of the players will be foster kids, because Treehouse was originated to work with the foster community. And they've now expanded into teen mental health, which is also, you know, hell, we're all going through some.
It's an important subject. Yeah, absolutely.
and then Rise Against Hunger, which is certainly much more of a global entity. And so again, it was, how can we give back? And it's very enlightening, and it makes me proud that to just be a part of this, to be able to create a platform for people to get involved, for people to come together, for people to brighten their day, and hopefully take the step to brighten others' day.
It's inspiring to see the people, not only that you are giving back to, and they are incredible charities, but also the people that you've got involved to come on board. Like you say, your partners that have gotten involved. And obviously there's a couple of names there, which in the realms of convention Comic-Cons will attract attention. So like you have said, Legion M,
right?
Legion M, because they are you can't nail down exactly what they do and where they do stuff. That's the great thing about that company, that they can go everywhere, including partnering with the likes of yourself. But also you've got Collider, which has all that great content. Who came to who approached who regarding those?
It really, again, I keep on saying organic, but it was about that first, the fact that we were already doing stuff. We've done a lot of work with Legion M over the years, sure. Based on the work that we were doing with MGM for Stargate, and creating that Stargate Command community, which was a truly global offering. The work that we had done with Bernie Bregman, and pulling off some events for, whether it was parties at SDC for Buffy franchise, for Fox Consumer Products, which is now Disney Consumer Products. And Collider had been working with Bernie as well. And Collider was one of the reasons why we felt we could achieve this. And as with everything, with resources being they are, the Collider had to gracefully step out.
Yeah.
At a certain point, because they had, their company, and they needed, there were resources that they need to put in the right place. And it was there's a great group of people, and, they just needed to focus on other things. And so they've been really supportive even since. And, but they're not, they had to pull out as a partner. But we also have others, Wacom they're the ones that, for the cosplay contest, they are the ones that are supplying the pads as a gift, which is a $500 value. There's FYE that's sponsoring tonight's. It's our preview. We've called the FYE Friday night. So there's some really great products that they are dropping as giveaways during. If you are in the room, you're going to see these products. So it basically is, click as quickly as you see the product available, and it's yours. And so there's a couple of pop products. We're doing a live auction of the Naruto boxed set for those anime fans around. There's just a bunch of, there's so many things. There's so many great things, and a bunch of vendors that have said, hey, can we donate stuff? Can we give stuff for giveaways? To really treat the community. Hot Topic has been phenomenal. They're sponsoring a number of our segments. They're actually sponsoring the entire Star Wars block that we have tomorrow midday, our time, which, that's where Greg is playing a part, and that's also where Ashley is in that. Ashley is the voice of Ahsoka on the Clone Wars, and then Neft was really early to the game, and Neft Vodka, saying they just wanted to be a part and support. So thankful to them for doing that. But it's, this would not have happened if it wasn't about all these people coming together to give back. And I think that I don't want to toot our own horn for this, but the fact that we're not charging anybody to enter, and it's all about getting as much money into the vendor's hands as possible. Are there other doing that? I hope there are, but I haven't seen that yet.
No. It's been, like I say, what we've been talking, we kind of briefly talked before we came on air about the different platforms and the way that different people are approaching it. And I'm seeing everything from putting up a page with a bunch of vendor links, which you would then go to their homepage, and calling that as an artist alley. all the way over to and then all the way over to the platform where people are doing one-to-one conversations and charging something like $55 for a 2-3 minute chat. That whole gamut of different ways to kind of interact, and I think the scope of different approaches to what a virtual con can be. I mean, Andrew Dickinson is saying something here which I don't necessarily agree with, but I kind of get where he's coming from. With Nerd HQ made a business model with virtual cons. It would be a business model if it worked, if they actually made any business. But let's leave that one alone. And he also does mention about Nerdist Party as well. Go on.
But I think that there's something to be said that it's not just about the money.
Sure.
Right? The Nerd HQ also ran into a political issue that caused the demise of that. And things happen really quickly. And to be brutally honest, I enjoy how open this cup of tea is. We originally announced as Virtual Fan Expo, but there is an existing entity called Fan Expo. And as soon as we realized, wait a second, we could be causing confusion, and that's not why we got into this game, that's when we switched over to Pop. And
I'm surprised Funko haven't tapped you on the shoulder about that one.
Well, we've been in conversation with them, not about the use of the name. It was conversations about seeing how they can be involved.
Sure.
So that's been good. You know, whenever you get into all this stuff, like what is Pop, what is Expo, what is Fan, and we know that there have been other major cons that will go unnamed. But if you just look over your left shoulder, the reality is yes, there is that element of ownership that is tried to be instilled. But again, who is that for the betterment of? If we're all looking for the betterment of community, and I'll say this until I'm blue in the face, for all of us, and maybe this is my altruistic, and this ties into a lot of what my regular business Kaleido does, putting out the best product possible that makes a difference. That's what the goal is. Money is a byproduct of that.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I mean, like I say, I'm really thrilled that it is a free experience that you are planning. I mean, it's happening tomorrow and Sunday. I mean, I think if we talk a little bit more practically about the actual event itself, I mean, I know you're saying that there's a preview element to it tonight. When does the expo actually kick off? When does things really
our official open, when you will see Bernie, Jenny, and I on camera welcoming everybody, is going to be at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is 6 p.m.
It's the show time which we usually go for, so I can reel this off the top of my head. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. So
So that's when that's when the content starts. That's when we know that all the vendors will be set up with everything. They'll be staffing the booths, and it really is about watching the content on whether it's on your computer or on your web-enabled television, or even within the Auxit app within the Virtual Pop Expo room. Which the only way, if you go to Auxit via any of the stores and you enter, it's not going to be a good experience. You have to go get that QR code from our page or the link from our page. That's what's going to make give you full access, full reign access to the room. We even had some fun in the lobby, in the Virtual Pop Expo lobby on Auxit. We have all the vendors, but we also have some breakout rooms. So if you wanted to have private conversation with your friends within the environment, we've got a VIP room. We've got a high rollers room. We've got a best of show room, and we have the Hall H waiting room, just as a loving nod for the waiting to get into Hall H. So again, with what we were saying about other offerings, they're all oftentimes, unfortunately, they're disjointed, and we just really wanted to create that enveloping environment, because it's not just one platform we're using. Because some of our partners are even doing Facebook watch parties of the stream with their community directly. So they'll take the same stream that we've got going on virtualpopexpo.com, but then it's all of just their fans' comments and sharing. So it's how do we reach the biggest audience possible, and that's what we're trying to work on. And you're helping that, so thank you for that, for bringing.
No worries. I mean, like I say, we did kind of arrange this a little bit last minute, but it's great to kind of get the opportunity to talk to someone that's wanting to bring something new to the idea and new to the platform, and really have a exciting way of interacting with fans, which is what I think is what really did appeal to us when we started covering this on the conventioncollective.com. The fact that it is very much a case of fans interacting with each other's, vendors interacting with them. Yes. And then there's this real sense of community and conversation going on, instead of it being very much a one-way street, which is what we have seen with some shows. Toby Tolino is joining us. I tell you what, I'm going to just put you like that so that you can see your face a little bit. I think virtual cons are a good idea to scratch that con itch, just so long as it's known that just until this world issue is over with and people can get back to actual physical interactions. Yes. No, I can see that. I can also see it as kind of like an augmentation to that.
Yes, absolutely. I concur on all accounts. There is nothing that compares to standing in front of any convention center with people coming up in cosplay, and the joy of seeing that come past you. And we've got a really cool cosplay ball competition that's happening on Saturday, tomorrow evening. But there are certainly elements that you don't want to miss of being physical, and we will get to that world that's physical. But I do believe that the accessibility that these virtual expos have is going to be a way that we're all comfortable moving forward. And so if somebody was only able to get to one con a year and it required 4 hours of travel, imagine if you were able to go to multiples and learn so much more and be in the moment with so many more disparate groups of people. That's really cool. That's an exciting thing to me.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, one more time. I mean, I'm going to go back to the actual page itself so people can actually see. But I've actually started at the bottom of the special guest list, down at the bottom of the page, just to kind of give people the idea of just the range of guests that you've got coming in. Sam Maggs, who is an incredible talent who I'm a big fan of. Lloyd Kaufman, of course. David Hewlett, who's just always just a great fun to get hold of. Mark Guggenheim from the WBDC stuff. Ming Chen. I mean, if I scroll upwards, it's just incredible, and it just gets the names just get impressive. Bonnie Burton, good friend, good to have her seen as well. Cooper Andrews. I mean, it's just such a staggering talent, and like you say, it's quite an array as well. So it's covering all sorts of disciplines, from pop culture to comics to animation. It's just a very impressive lineup. If people are wanting to find out more about the lineup and the guests and all the things that is happening, virtualpopexpo.com/guests. And I think it's just, it's just a hell of a lineup. Very, very impressive indeed. Jonathan, I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes, because obviously it is the proof of the pudding. Let's get the weekend, let's get it up and running, and let's see how it actually works. I'm going to be paying attention and joining in as well. Like you say, it's a slightly different time zone here in the UK, but I will do my best to take part. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about Virtual PopCon? Is there any kind of surprises that people may be interested to find out about?
As with anything new, there's always surprises. So I will just put that out there. Again, please join us. Please come with an open mind and open heart, and be safe, be loving, be caring about us, the community, us together moving forward. That's the spirit that we're doing this in, and we hope that comes across. That there's, let all expectation go behind you. We've really set up what I think is a extremely compelling product for any expo that has been going on forever, and we just formed 6 weeks ago.
That's one of the impressive things about it, of course.
And so just come and have fun, catch what you can. Certainly, if you can visit the Auxit experience and and maybe you'll find that thing you never knew existed before, but cannot go without having. Go ahead and get that, and that all that is just giving back.
Yeah. Final couple of comments. Certainly when it comes to your panel that you're hosting, the Which Page to Turn guests, Ming Chen, Anina Bennett, Paul Gigan, Bernard Chang, and Flip Ashcroft. Dan Berry is stating that Anina is terrific, met her at San Diego Comic Fest. He always likes to drop names as that boy. Honestly, you have to keep an eye on him.
I spoke on a panel at San Diego Comic Fest with Anina 5 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So it's going to be great to catch up with friends. And finally, on this one, I think this is more just so you may be moving your camera a little bit. Normally, I'm pretty good at spotting nerd content behind guests, but today I think I've sprained both eyeballs trying to make out what's on Jonathan's shelf. So tell you what, I'm going to put you full screen. Take the comment off. I mean, yeah, it's a bit.
There's. To be brutally honest, we've just moved into a new place, and so I haven't been able to fill out. we just put that furniture up last week, so we haven't. But it's funny that comes up, because coming in, I was like, should I get my trophies that I got from the things that I did, or like the awards, and then I was just like, But thank you for looking in my house. And,
well, it's when people see this and people, you really have to know what that is. But anyway,
right.
I
will say this: when we moved house, I decided to let a lot of stuff be free and find new homes. People that have them up on their walls.
I think my missus would probably kill me if I let some things free without her any kind of permission first. Jonathan, thank you very much indeed for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having me.
Best of luck with not only the panel, but also with the whole endeavor. I think it's just going to be something really exciting to see what this endeavor will do and bring to virtual cons. Once again, virtualpopexpo.com is the best place to go. And of course, do check out the app as well. I'm going to do one last time. I'm going to go to, because I did this before, I'm going to very quickly go to About. And I'm going to go to, come on, you, that page, and I was going to bring up that QR code again, and to see what's happening here. I am going to bring up the QR code, because if anyone wants to take part, and I seem to be having an issue with that page. Well, tell you what, we'll just let everyone know. You can rewind this. You can go back to the site and do check it out. Jonathan, it's been a pleasure talking to you, sir. All the very best with Virtual Pop Expo.
Thank you so much. Cheers. Be safe.
Take care. Excellent. So there you go. Virtual Pop Expo. There's the URL. Do check them out. Well worth looking into. I mean, the guest list is insane as it is, but just the way that they're approaching it, the platform, and the way that they're making it very much a community aspect, I think that's really exciting. So looking forward to seeing how Virtual Pop Expo goes through the rest of the weekend. That's tomorrow and Sunday is when it's happening for that. One last time, let's just quickly remind you about our guests coming up over the course of the next couple of weeks. We have ourselves a couple of changes to the lineup. I did mention this at the beginning of the show, but we might as well do this really quickly again, because we have ourselves a postponing of a guest on Sunday. We were going to be speaking to IDW's Dirk Wood and Scott Dumbier. They have discovered that there's a bit of a clash on their personal schedule. So what they're going to do is we're going to do an incidental episode. We do these every once in a while, drop them in outside of the usual timetable. It looks like it may be Tuesday. We're waiting on Scott to get back to us, but hopefully we're going to get the pair of them on the same episode, because I do want to make it that third part of the conversation that we had with J.H. Williams III, and also the other conversation that the other shows that we've had in recent weeks. We've had some really strong ones. Bill Sienkiewicz will be joining us. By all accounts, he's still ready to go with that. Bill Sienkiewicz on Wednesday, the 13th of May. Our San Diego Comic Con special, we're hoping to add some more names to this, but Alyssa Franks has agreed to join us. So it's going to be Aaron Neighbors, Rob Salkowitz from Forbes, and Alyssa Franks from the Friends of Comic Con Forum. Donny Cates and Megan Hutchinson on the 20th of May. 24th of May is going to be David Irwin, who's the publisher CCO of Heavy Metal. It's going to be talking about the new imprint that's coming to heavy metal. Very exciting indeed. Russ Burlingame from comicbook.com on the 27th of May on the Wednesday show. And then the Sunday 31st is going to be Robin Jones, illustrator, cartoonist from here in the UK. Slight change to the kind of names that we've had, but it's going to be great to have all this mix throughout the course of May. We've had ourselves some great guests, and we've got more to come. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thank you very much indeed for joining, for Jonathan for taking part. Do once again, virtualpopexpo.com. Check it out on the Oxit app. That's AUXXIT. Find it on the Euro App Store. Check it out and check out all the content over the course of this weekend. For myself, Leonard, I'm back again on Sunday with our regular show, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. Talking Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Mother's Day. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.